I'm Mahin, and this is a very special edition of the Bellydance Quickies. I have a guest here, a very special guest here. This is, I'm sure you already recognize who this is. This is Sigil from Unmata, and she's here in Arizona this weekend for some workshops. So I had just took the opportunity to kind of grab her and chat for a little bit. So Amy, welcome, and really great to talk to you.
Thank you, and thank you for driving down today to meet me here at this random time, on this random day. She really worked hard to make this work.
Yeah, well, that's okay. So, you know, it's not every day you could get a chance to sit down and talk with you. So, someone who's doing very unique things in the belly dance community. So I wanted to take that opportunity. So, as many of the people who follow you and follow Unmata know that you have recently just kind of put yourself on a little artistic sabbatical and come back from that. So I thought that would be interesting to kind of hear from you about you know, how that sabbatical has affected your work, what you got out of it, and that kind of stuff. So why don't you tell us about why you took it to start with, what you did with your time maybe, and what do you think was the outcomes of it were?
I'm happy to talk about this because I haven't really talked about the outcome. It was many years gearing up to the sabbatical because, of course, I had to have enough money to survive for an entire year. So it took me 3 years to religiously, I hate to even say religiously if you know me, to dedicationally save this money. I bought a travel trailer and a pickup truck and stayed in the States, which was amazing for me to not get on an airplane and just drive everywhere. And I took the year of 2015 to not work and not have a schedule and just kind of bum around a little bit. And throughout the saving process of the 3 years, my girlfriend of 14 years was like, I'm going with you. There's no way I can't take this sabbatical with you. So she actually quit her 20-year profession. And we let the house go. We didn't own it, we were just renting. We let the house go, we set the kids up, we got rid of all of our stuff, had a huge yard sale, you know, and just really let go of some really sentimental things. I sold my Chinese tea set that I got with John Compton in Beijing to this 3-year-old little girl for a tea set. And I tried to tell her the story. It was just a random girl who showed up at the yard sale, and I was like, this is very important. There's a man, his name is John Compton, and she's just like, staring at me, but we really purged.
There's some mad belly dancers out there.
I sold John Compton's tea set. And so there was like a lot of things that were really hard to let go of, but it was so liberating for me. But throughout these 3 years, it was really like so much to gear up to it, but I haven't spent a lot of time contemplating and talking about it afterwards because I did the year and then I went right back to work, of course, because I spent everything that I saved in those 3 years. So 2015 we were out, and then 2016 I went back to work. But fortunately, my girlfriend said that she was going to travel with me, and she was like, you know, I don't have a job yet. The kids are 20 and 22. They're set. They're doing their own things. So we're like, okay, let's hold off a year. And so I went right back to work. So it was kind of interesting, which I guess you would. I mean, you're not going to sit and think about your sabbatical after you've sat for a year and thought about your sabbatical. So I kind of jumped back into it. And when I first came back, I had this really mixed state of mind where it was amazing. It was amazing. But it was just as amazing as everything else was amazing. Do you know what I mean? Like, I have a pretty amazing
Like you found
life.
the ordinary suddenly amazing kind of a thing?
And almost the opposite too. Like I was sitting, like I drove all the way to Key West, as far south as I could go. You know what I mean? I'm sitting at the edge of the continent thinking, yeah, this is nice. This is totally nice. I mean, it was such a beautiful spot and I feel really relaxed, but you know, I feel just as astonished in any place of the world right now. I mean, and I don't know if it's because maybe I'm traveling so much, but I thought it was really gonna, like, I thought during the year, like every place was just gonna hit me and I was just gonna be crying every day and just like in awe and like I couldn't stop creating, but it was actually quite the opposite for me. I was super chill. I didn't really make a lot of things. I made some random pieces with some strangers that I found, some movement piece, which is really exciting, but I was gonna write a solo, I was gonna write a book, I was gonna do all these things, and I just spent time doing my thing. which I do anyways.
So did you like plan to do like very little dancing or?
Yeah, I plan to do very little dancing and a little bit more soul searching, I guess. But you know, I don't know if I maybe didn't give myself the time to soul search, but I spent a lot of time sightseeing, snorkeling. I went to Florida and then I spent the whole month of January snorkeling. I didn't sit on a mountain and meditate. I really didn't. You know what I mean? I like ate tacos in Mexico, and I like went to Tennessee, and I went to the museum. I went to the Dust Bowl in Oklahoma. It was just really interesting how, I mean, I thought it was, at the time, I just thought it was going to be a lot bigger to me. Maybe I'm adjusted to big. Like, I don't know why, but it was very normal, and I felt very chill. Like I said, it was great.
Mm-hmm.
It was great, but it wasn't like everything changed.
Yeah.
I think some things changed, but I feel kind of the same. I do. I feel kind of the same person.
It's kind of like, what was it, that scene in The Wizard of Oz where Dorothy goes there and she realizes that like everything was all okay all the time.
Yeah, that it was like this amazing Tin Man, but it was really her neighbor. Yeah, it's kind of what it was. And like, I really thought I was just going to be like a completely changed person, you know? And I was kind of running away, of course. I'm tired, you know? I've raised kids, a career, the house, like all these different things. So to like have the kids grown and take off, I thought like, wow, I'm really going to find myself. But I feel the same. I feel great. I feel great, but I don't feel like a different person.
So how about your your perspective to your art and what you do and what you make and how you approach it? Did the sabbatical have like any effect on that?
Well, I definitely, once I got to Florida, to the very edge of the continent, and I traveled all the way through the States as much as I could, we took as much time as we could, I started to get anxious about making the next set. Right away, I was like, you know, I'm going to go to Umrah in August, and what am I going to do for this next set? And I started thinking, so I think that I love what I do, and I think that I can't help what I do right now, and I think what I'm feeling in retrospect is that I'm just so lucky to have so much art in my life and so many amazing people, no matter where I go, that like every year is just equally as awe-inspiring in life. Like whether I'm in France with these dancers or whether I'm by myself in Nashville, Tennessee. I mean, it's a beautiful life. I'm so lucky. I'm so very lucky right now. I'm going to work really hard to try and deserve it.
Yeah.
You know?
Definitely.
But yeah, I feel great and I feel the same.
Wow.
You know, I really expected this like,
yeah.
I found
yeah.
the thing.
So have you changed your pace since coming back? Have you allowed
Yes.
yourself more downtime
I don't want
on
to
a
work.
regular basis?
I really don't want to work much anymore.
Yeah.
You know, like in my 30s, I was on fire. In my 30s, I was on fire. Like that's all I wanted to do was work. But I definitely feel a little bit more casual about things right now. I'm not into fighting for the space right now. I feel good.
Mm-hmm.
I feel really good. I feel like I want to make what I make when I make it, and I'm in a really great space to do that right now.
Yeah, so you're not working under pressure.
Yeah. I mean, dance
Pretty good
class.
place to be.
Yeah, dance class is pressure, but you know, I don't feel, it's probably a ridiculous thing to say as an artist, but I don't feel like I have anything to prove right now to myself either. I think I just need to find that joy every day.
Well, there's like dance classes like pressure with a lowercase p, and then there's
Yeah.
producing something big,
Yeah.
you know, for the next, you know, tribal massive or whatever with
Yeah.
a capital P. There's
Yeah.
your giant pressure because
Yeah.
everyone's going to be watching it. Everyone's going to be like, you have it's going to be on YouTube, and people will critique it and this and that. And so yeah. So
I kind of
it's
feel like
lonely.
success is just making the thing right now. You know, and some people are going to love it, and some people aren't going to love it, and some people are going to look at it and be like, this was better than last year's set, or this wasn't as good as last year's set, or whatever it was. But I think success right now for me is just creating, producing work that I have feelings about.
Right. I mean,
And that is success.
And I mean, ultimately, you know, as people look at these things, and you know, no matter what you look at, we're always going to have an idea of how it bounces off of us. You know,
Yeah.
it's like whether we like it or whether we don't like it. But whether we like it and whether we don't like it, is a whole separate factor from whether it's quality, right?
Yeah.
So,
And did you do it or did you not do it?
Yeah,
I think there's something about that too. When I'm like, well, I don't like it, but I did it.
mm-hmm.
I don't think you have to like everything that you do. It's just important that you do it.
Yeah, I mean, like, and because a lot of things are, I mean, I don't know, I guess a lot of your creating that you do is almost like a draft. I mean, and some, I guess some things get seen and some things don't get seen, and some of the things that you may have decided you didn't want to put out in the world, so you could have put it out and it could have been groundbreaking for some people who watched it. So, I mean, like, there's the thing you want to put out there, and then there's the thing that people see. It's like two sides of the same coin. I mean, but you're not looking at them from the same perspective.
And isn't the masterpiece lifestyle? I mean, that's what we're building. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, all these little pieces, but all of this is training for just life. Like, who are you becoming, and who are you nurturing in your life, and what are you giving to people around you? It's like that's really the masterpiece. It's not whether you had the super piece at whatever festival it was. I think it's much bigger than that.
Yeah, it's about a body of work in the end, and about like how that body of
everything
work
counts.
endures.
Yeah, everything counts, which I think takes off the pressure, adds maybe a different kind of pressure, a rounder pressure than this pinpoint thing of like, this is going to make or break me.
Yeah, and I think that's really a good thing to remember. I mean, I know that I think it was Helena Vlahos, she had said, you're only as good as your last performance. And in a sense, in people's recent, I think, well, you know what, it's like, if you're in that highly marketable space, there's some truth to that.
Sure.
And I guess that, that's, if you keep that in some perspective way in your mind as you're working, it reminds you to keep your quality ideals high.
Yeah.
And to not like go, this show doesn't count, It
Yeah.
reminds you to do that.
Yeah, everything counts.
Right, but it's like, it's not like, it's not like, the Dow Jones mark, the only thing that matters is the last point. So, but yeah, I mean, it's like, keeping that idea of a body of work is, I think it's really important. I think it's something that, I don't know, I guess maybe some of us think about and some of us don't think about.
Well, that's I think in this specific genre, like, we're not talking about rock stars, like, we're not talking about the last concert we saw. We know each other. People know me, you know what I mean? We are around each other in festivals. Like, all these little things do count. I don't care as much if you inspired me on stage as if how you inspired me in the classroom, in the dressing room, in the hallway, in the hotel, you know what I mean? At the after party, like, it's different for us. People really do know us.
That's true, yeah. Our world and this art, we oftentimes, even if we don't see someone in person a lot, we're interacting online as well. And that's changed things too, because it's pretty darn easy to have a conversation with someone who you only saw on YouTube. You haven't even had a chance to meet in person, which is, kind of a product of our times and kind of a product of the way that, at least in the belly dance world, we've put ourselves out there, whereas a lot of times, in other kinds of arts that have a bigger audience, more general public, I mean, they don't really let themselves be as connected to everyone.
Absolutely.
So yeah, you're right. That is.
We're affecting this community in many, many different ways, and it's not the 3-minute performance that I did.
Yeah.
It's not.
So speaking of the performance, so like, you guys are like in the big belly dance tree of cabaret and and ATS and ITS and all of these other things. You guys are pretty fringe, with what you do. I mean, if we want to just talk about belly dance, and so when there's a lot of discussion, we could go like round and round about that, about what's about fusion and everything else, and I think that's probably all been said. But it's like what do you see as your connection to artistically with what you make in the belly dance world, if there is any?
There's a huge connection. And I think for me, what tends to fall out of my mouth most commonly is that first, I feel interpretive like belly dance interprets music. Like, I don't feel interpretation and musicality like a gymnast interprets. I interpret music as belly dancers interpret music. And a lot of times when I watch belly dance, right, I see the physical manifestation of the sound. And I still choreograph that way. Like, it goes with the music. It is not something that I ignore while I do my feats of strength. And it goes ambiance in the back, you know what I mean? Which I love that style too. But that's not what I do, and that's not how I hear music.
I have to make a confession.
Yes, tell me.
I love watching ballet, but one thing that drives me crazy watching ballet, this never used to drive me crazy when I was a little kid watching ballet, but being in belly dance and the whole super connection of this sound looks like this, I'm like, I constantly go, I don't hear what they're doing. I don't hear what they're doing. And I'm like, oh, this is beautiful, and I love the formations, but I'm like, I don't get that musicality sense out of it. So I
relate like that when people are like, why does belly dance care about you? Why do you care about belly dance? It's because, well, first, you couldn't take it out of me. You know, you couldn't take it out of me. But things have changed a lot, and I understand that stylistically. But I hear music like the belly dancer hears music. I really, really do. And the second thing is, whether it's belly dance or not belly dance, there is only one community that really loves me, and that's the belly dancers. It's true. Like, I'm not supported by the hip hop crew. Like, hardcore hip hop dancers aren't showing up to my workshops. You know what I mean? Ballet dancers aren't showing up to my workshops. Like, I am supported by the belly dance community. So that's where my heart is. You know, whether it's belly dance or not belly dance, the love is here for me, and my home is here. Until it's not my home anymore, which I hope never happens. But I think that I like to say a lot, like when people are like, what is it? What is it that you're doing? And I really want to be like, well, you tell me. You tell me what it is. Like, what is it to you? It's just the thing that I made. You know, it's just the thing that I made from this time to this time, and I'm going to make another thing too. You might think completely different about it. Absolutely, but I think it's specific to my inspirations. Absolutely, but I don't have another home.
That's fair enough answer.
Yeah, I really don't. No one else cares that I'm teaching in Arizona on March 24th, except for belly dancers. So, like, why is that? I'm not going to fight it, and I'm not going to argue with it.
No need to.
No.
Because a lot of the whole labeling and box thing is this outside construct, and I don't think people really. Well, maybe they do, but I don't think intrinsically, in a true artistic sense, people ever really want to aim inside the box to create. You know, I mean, I feel like sometimes, right? I mean, if you are thinking about who's going to buy your work, or who's going to come to your workshop, or who's going to come to your show, then you start to think a little more targeted, perhaps. But
and what you're hired for, you know what I mean? I'm so fortunate right now in my life, and this hasn't always been that way, but I am hired to be Amy Sigil. That's really what I'm hired to do. So I get to come in as myself. Now, if I was hired to do a belly dance gig at a Lebanese wedding, I would probably call Dahlia or somebody else to do the gig for me. But
you know your brand.
I know my brand. And if I need to go do a belly dance piece, of course, I would make something completely different. Completely different. But I am hired to be myself. So that's the number one thing I can do.
That's a real privilege artistically.
It really is. Yeah, it really is. And I think some people have set up their MO in a certain way to be a princess or to be a certain kind of character, but I was just really fortunate, not smart enough, just really fortunate to come in as myself and get an MO that says I do what I want. And we've been able to follow this brand for the last 15 years now, so we do get to do what we want.
That's awesome.
Yeah, people expect me to do what I want. They're disappointed when I don't.
Yeah, that's true. That's right. You know, once you put yourself out there is one thing. You know, you have to hit that mark to some degree for the people who expect that from you.
They support you. It's everybody else's fault.
So for the things that you make, and where do you get your inspiration from? Like you do for the really diverse. You have some sources that you keep coming back to the well for, with where the ideas come from.
Yeah, I think probably like most artists, it varies, of course. It totally varies, but I try to make what I want. I try not to overthink it. I don't make a set for a certain gig, usually. I'll make a set for the year. I like to think about where the girls are that I dance with right now, which is Shelly, Carrie, and Sarah. And what would represent this year usually I try to get some sort of narrative that means something to all of us, but sometimes it just goes to the music. You know what I mean? Sometimes I make those pieces where I'm like, we're not changing the world with this, but it does go to the music. And then sometimes it's changing the world for us, for sure. But I try to be really open, and I try not to over market the set. You know, I just try to be like, okay, where's the influence right now? What do I want to wear? What song do I love? What do I want to do this year? And then I try to throw it together. I usually pick the music first.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you, are you usually led by the music or led by the idea?
I usually pick the music first, but I've been working with this group called Pilabolas for the last 3 years. They know who they are.
We'll link to them.
Yeah, it's a group on the East Coast, and for me, they're just the shit. I mean, they're just the cream of the crop for me, and I can pay them to work with me, which is just amazing. So the last 3 years, I've been taking their intensive in the summer, and they work completely backwards from how I work, like completely backwards. They work with the ideas first, the movements first, and then they go to find the music, you know? So the last 3 years, I have been a little bit more open to perhaps coming up with movement ideas first and then finding the music. But man, like I said, I don't know if you can take the belly dance out of me. I really don't. Even through some of these intensives, it's so dry in my head without music. I had an argument with Carrie's husband about who loved music more, because he's a musician. And I was like, you can't argue with a dancer on who loves music more. Like, I can't even sit still. I'm possessed by this. Like, you love making music, sure, but I love music. It's different. Like, you're just sitting there while this music is playing. But I can't, I mean, I'm literally in a seizure about this. Like, I'm so musically driven that I definitely usually find the music first. And it's hard when I don't, because then I'm searching for the music.
Oh yeah, you get something in your head, and then you have to like find the exact right thing that fits. Like it's like you get this preconceived notion about what you want. Yeah,
and I wish I didn't.
It's kind of like going out to buy like an outfit, and you already know what you want, and like you know.
It's a horrible idea.
It is a horrible idea. You're just bound to be disappointed.
Yeah, it's like costuming too. Like just go to the fabric store and look at what's there, you know. But I definitely sometimes I wish I wasn't such a slave to the music. You know, like why do I need music so much in this piece? You know, I love pieces that aren't driven by music too, that are driven by breath and driven by ideas and absolutely quiet, but music just, you hear that song, you want to do something to it so bad.
What about live music?
You know what's so funny about live music? When I first started belly dancing, it was with Antara Nipa, and she is the director of the Ottoman Traders, since retired. And she was my very first belly dance teacher. And she did all the Renaissance fairs that Hobby Roo and Ballynot didn't do. So we did a lot like in Tahoe, in Sacramento, California areas. And it was all to live music in the beginning. And I said out loud in my 3rd year of belly dance, I will never dance to canned music. I will never dance to canned music. Like this is where it's at. Improvisationally, I'm supposed to be working with you. And I literally said out loud, I would never dance to canned music. And now, if I had to dance to a band right now, I would be so freaked out by it. I would be so freaked out by it. Yeah.
Wow, yeah.
And I think I actually did one of my most embarrassing solos at my very first job that Jill Parker hired me from when it was back in the day, and it was Mira Betts and Jill Parker and Heather Stantz and myself. And they were having an after party with the band, and it was like Tobias drumming and somebody else. It was all these like famous fusion kind of musicians, and Heather wasn't going to dance, and she was like, this isn't what I do. I don't dance to this kind of music. And I remember thinking to myself, I don't dance to this kind of music either. Should I do it? Should I not do it? But I thought, just shut up and do it. Just go out there and dance. And it wasn't good. And I was like completely, and I think I wore a t-shirt costume. It was like a costume made out of t-shirts, and everybody's costume was really beautiful. And I was like, man, I'm not good at this anymore.
Well, okay, but so again, there's a whole perception of good. So maybe
You're right.
maybe you felt like out of sorts, not in your comfort zone.
Yeah.
But did you ever go back and look at it? Did you ever
No,
look
I don't
at it
think
later?
there was any video for it.
You're going fortunately, right?
Yeah, fortunately.
But it would be interesting.
It would be
interesting because, and also like we said, it's not really about what you put out. Well, it's partially about what you put out there and partially about how it's received.
Yes.
So what would have someone who was watching you have said?
Yes.
I mean, would you,
I think I
if they
felt
were
very
moved by
supported
it,
at
or
the
if
time.
they was, if
Yeah.
they were, if they appreciated it, they found something of value in it, then if you, here, let's play a little game here. So let's say that someone who was in the audience saw that performance and they found a lot of value in it, they enjoyed it, they, got something out of it. How would that affect how you felt about your performance?
I would say thank you very much, and then I would try to get it out of there as fast as possible. And I would
internalize that compliment.
Yeah. I would never say that out loud. One of my little pet peeves is when people discredit your emotion about the piece. Like, when you have that incredible feeling about watching a piece and then you walk up to the artist and you're like, that was amazing. They're like,
oh, the excuses. I was this and I was that.
And I kind of want to be like, you know what? I'm actually not talking about you anymore. I'm talking about me. I'm talking about my experience.
Good
you know what I mean?
point.
Like, you're a performance artist. Like, stop being such a diva about it. I started cussing almost because I feel passionate about that. But like, that is their experience. And I try to tell everyone that I dance with, like, this is theirs. Like, do not take that away from them. Say thank you very much, and then get out of there if that's like the nicest thing that you can say about yourself, But yes, I would try to say thank you, and then I would try to get out of there as fast as you can. But I used to feel so comfortable with live music, and now I feel absolutely like an alien with live music.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean live Middle Eastern music. I might feel better, honestly, with like some hip hop artist than a DJ throwing something together right now.
Yeah.
But it would be extremely frightening for me to do a 10-8 right now.
Well, scaring yourself's good once in a
It
while.
is. I agree. And I think that that is something that I should definitely spend more time on, because I do a lot of improvisation, group improvisation, but I don't do a lot of solo improvisation. I actually don't even dance by myself ever. I've been in a group forever. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you get into your groove with what you do and everything like that. It's like
You're good at what you practice.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Sometimes doing something new will stretch you.
Or maybe I should say you're comfortable with it.
I'm like personally, I'm an improv dancer, and I do most of my stuff solo. So it's but I write plenty of choreography for my students, and I write choreography with my dance partner that we work with, Dreams of Arabia and stuff. But I tell you, I get more nervous on choreographed pieces, especially with my students, because I'm like, if my brain just turns off for half a second, my body will just go with whatever I hear, and it's like, and they're back there going, I don't remember that step. So I'm like, okay, I gotta lead these ladies. I have to remember everything I did, and I can't let my mind wander for a second. So it's in reverse for me.
Yeah.
It's like that whole pressure of choreography. It's not my natural space. I do it and do enough of it, but it's not my natural habitat.
Yeah.
So I feel super comfortable with live music and improvisation, and that's like my happy place. And it was like, and it's like I haven't taken a sabbatical, but what I did do the other year was I decided that I was on a mission to get more live music in my life. And so I had more of it earlier in my career, and then things just kind of dried up around the Phoenix area with live music opportunities. And so I decided I wanted it, and so I just started, making it happen, for what I wanted to do. And it was like this super creative thing, and it was wonderful for me because it kind of fed me back to like a part I was missing. But yeah, it's funny, it's because you are at home, leading a group.
Oh yeah, give me choreography all day long. Yeah, absolutely. But I would love to spend more time with live music, 100%. I mean, I'd love to spend more time with everything.
Yeah. So there really never are enough, hours and days and years for all the ideas you come up with. So what's your process for kind of weeding through ideas and pruning off the projects? Especially if you're starting to take more time, more downtime to be chill. I mean, how do you decide what you prune out of all of your projects and what you go with?
Deadlines. Deadlines, yeah, absolutely. I need to make
External
this.
or internal?
External.
External.
Yeah, I'm always really happy to say that I am not a perfectionist. I can really let a lot of things slide, which I think is a pro and a con, but really in this business, especially with throwing your personal art out there, I'm really actually very thankful to not be a perfectionist and beat myself up all day long. I'm just happy to finish things sometimes. So I'll usually work with external deadlines. Tribal Massive was a big one for me. That was just a couple weekends ago. So the new set had to be done by Tribal Massive, period. And then of course, workshops can be a deadline that can make you create real fast. And then when the deadlines are done, then I really go with my amount of love for the project, you know. And I have a lot of projects going on. I'm not even an obsessive person. I'm not the kind of like, I get started and I don't sleep for 3 days until I finish it. I don't do that at all.
Did you ever do that? Were you ever that kind of person?
You know, when I used to do methamphetamines, I was a little bit more. I was a little
This
bit
is
more
not a
obsessive.
work process we recommend.
Yeah, but years later, in 14 years now, maybe 16 years of being clean off meth, I am not an obsessive person. I actually take a lot of downtime as well. I will work on a project for 5-6 hours and then I go do something completely different. Yeah, but I feel really, really lucky that way. I think that, you know, you can fight all these instincts that come out, but, you know, I think just my personality has not driven me to be super obsessive about things. Yeah. I'm like, it's fine.
Do you get that kind of like that escalation anxiety where you keep setting your internal bar higher and higher for something and you're like...
I'm not even that anxious of a person.
Oh, you're lucky.
I think most everybody knows that I smoke a lot of weed, and that really helps in my artistic process. But I'm not even really that anxious of a person. Like, if I need to get it done, I like to work and get it done. I have a strict time schedule.
Are the people who work with you, like, are they on the same kind of timeline as you? I mean, maybe just...
I work with one girl who actually has dealt with anxiety her whole life. And actually, I think probably I'm the most chill of the four of us, I think. But it balances each other out. You know, somebody will call me and be like, Amy, you have to make a decision. Like, today's the day. And I'm like, oh, okay. So we kind of balance each other out a little bit. But I think that when I get the most fierce and severe is a time schedule. I'm like super into a time schedule. I see it as a sign of respect. You know, rehearsal starts at 4, everybody's there at 3:50, period. That's just the way it is. Nobody's late. Like, we're all very, very accountable to each other on time. Our work commitment is serious. The time that we spend is serious. I think that's the only time I get really fierce.
So you guys keep a really regular, like, schedule with practices and work ethics.
Yeah, no matter who's home. It's not like, oh, there's just one of us home. Tonight, actually, at 4 o'clock, I don't know. Oh, it's after that. Shelly is at home right now rehearsing all by herself. Because I am gone and Carrie is gone and Sarah is taking the test of her life for her doctorate degree. And Shelly's like, okay, I'm at rehearsal by myself from 4 to 6 today. And I think a lot of people would probably let that go, you know? And they probably wouldn't be like, oh, well, no one's going to be there, so I'm not going to rehearse.
Oh,
but
that's discipline. That is awesome.
Yeah, we're all really, really time respectful for that, which I think helps in my casualness. Because the work time is still there. Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah. The rest of it is pretty chill. I prefer it that way.
Okay, so what's next for you and for Unmata? What's like the big plans you got going?
Well, I'm kind of excited. I have something that I haven't told anyone yet.
Ooh, breaking news
right here.
Breaking
news. But I've been wanting to make this little video thing about this, but I'm writing a solo.
Ooh.
Yeah. This is the first solo that I've written since 8 years.
Wow.
I wrote a solo. In like 2007, I wrote a solo. And otherwise, I've been dedicated to group work and Unmata for the last 8 years, plus before that. But I've been inspired to write a piece for myself. And this group that I talked about before, Pilables, 2 of the members have agreed to mentor me in the process, which is a huge deal because I've been courting this group for like the last 3 years. So Emily Kent and Edwin Olvera have agreed to help me through this process, and I'm hoping to have it done in the next couple months, and I'm thinking I may debut it in Italy at Unmata and possibly bring it back to the States. We'll see how it goes, but it's been kind of an interesting process for me, and I didn't put any rules on it. I'm just making something. I'm just making something. So I can't even really tell you about it, except for it's different than I thought it was going to be, even though I didn't even have any thoughts about what it was going to be. It's surprising me.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll be very excited to see that.
Me too.
I don't know what it's going to be either. So.
Me too. Me
So
too.
no details to spill because they just aren't there yet.
I'm using a mentor. This is, this is my first time. Like, I've had some definitely personal mentors. Suhaila Salampour has been a huge mentor in my life for personal reasons, but I've never used someone actually in my dance pieces. And I don't know why. I think I was always very protective to be like, this is my choreography. This is my choreography. And I think it has stunted my development a little bit. It's great because it's kept me very original because it's just me, but at the same time, there isn't anybody to push me. I just get to do whatever I want. So it's my first time ever using an outside influence coming in and looking at my work and giving me thoughts. And they were so good at it. Emily and Edwin were so good at it. Like, I still feel like the piece is mine.
Cool.
Yeah, and I'm really happy. I didn't know if they were going to like choreograph it for me or give me movements. Like, I just had no idea what to expect, and they really directed my energy, and I think a hopefully really brilliant way.
Wow.
Yeah.
It sounds exciting. It sounds like it was a really it was just as much of a journey as a product.
Yeah. I'm really excited to share it.
Yes. Well, we will be looking forward to that. And again, thank you so much for making some time in your weekend to sit down and chat. It's been fascinating, and I hope you guys have enjoyed this. And so good luck to you, and thank you so much.
Thanks for showing up to Tucson.
Alrighty. Oh, thank you so much. I'm really glad to talk with you.
Thank you.
Okay, you guys have a wonderful week, and you'll be able to look down there and find links for Amy's site and maybe some of her work, maybe also the group
Palabolis.
Palabolis.
Yes.
We'll link to them as well, and you guys have a great week. Bye.
Awesome. Bye.